Pretty purple. Hello, welcome everyone to Feminine Fridays. It's Laura Rubinstein here with the awesome Diane Halfman. Hi, Diane.
Hi, Laura. Great to be here and great to be here with our friends.
I know it's amazing to be at another Friday together
And a new month in August.
and a new month. Wow, yes. And we are been talking in the past few sessions about the feminine power core principles that are encompassed in the feminine power cards. I revealed to y'all a few weeks ago the hidden code in the designs on the back of the cards. And this one is the one we're going to talk about this week. Now, it's coming across kind of blue and white, and it's kind of blue, green, and white in reality. But what that means is uh, it's all about the core feminine power principle of, drumroll please, cultivating joy. Ta-da, ta-da. We're very excited because it's one of my favorite things to do when I realized that that wasn't as hard as I thought it would be to do.
Yeah.
And thanks for the love. Thank you. Shirley, great to have you here. So, yes, and in fact, I'll share my screen just real quick because we do have 5 feminine power principles that we've gotten into these cards with, and you can see the different designs on the back. And today, obviously, we're talking about the cultivating joy. So when you think about cultivating joy, what comes to mind?
Anything that makes me smile. I mean, I take it down to the very smallest, simplest thing. Like right now, I'm in a backyard with a beautiful willow tree. I'm barefoot, so my feet are in the grass, and just simple pleasures. I think that we can do so much to be joyful in just the simplest things, and then that just builds upon more joy.
I agree. Like just taking in the fresh air and enjoying a deep, full breath is like so delicious, right? It can just
Yes.
bring up all kinds of joy for you. I've done the same thing with my favorite water, which is just filtered water. It's just like I just love. Can we enjoy it? Can we kick it up a notch just by being present with it, being
Yeah.
conscious of it, instead of like,
You know,
oh, I got to
it's
drink water. It's like, oh, this is really awesome water, right?
Well, it's funny when you're talking about water because I'm in Idaho right now and we're not far from the Montana border, and they actually have a natural spring water that like comes out of the mountain, and it's literally like drinking out of a fire hose. And a group of us girls this last week washed our hair in this spring that came out, and it was just so refreshing to have this crisp water that was so good for you. And it's just like it's some of the simple things that we take for granted, that it was like, oh, how to have this like amazing water that's coming out of Mother Earth that we got to enjoy and fill up all of our water bottles and bring them back. And it was just a fun experience. And it was just this simple joy of almost giddiness of like, kids playing in water. Yeah.
Yeah. And we talked about last time about, or yeah, I think it was about choices, making conscious choices. And joy is a choice,
Yes.
right? It's like you can choose to be happier in any given moment. And I kind of like to think of joy the next level above happiness. And then like there's ecstasy above that. And you can put whatever parameters you want on it, but you can do what Emerald says, kick it up a notch anytime you want, right? And if you're not at the basic, okay, I'm happy level, well, if you're below happy, then what can you do to get to happy? And then if you're at happy, what can you do to kick it up a notch and get to joy? And then ecstasy, well, that's your choice too.
Right, right. And I think joy is contagious as well. I mean, I think it's something like I've noticed just between like my family and friends, like if somebody starts laughing and then it triggers somebody else to laugh, and then all of a sudden everyone's laughing. And I mean, to the point where you're almost like crying. And it's like you can't even remember what actually triggered or what started it, which then has you laugh again and have that happen as well. So it's like, what are you creating in your environments with your people? And it's like you can shift no matter what's happening. I mean, we know that there's a lot of heaviness happening in the world, and there's a lot of things that we can do about that. But part of it is being joyful and being able to see how can we look at what's going on for us and shift that in the moment, because if we're being joyful, that then ripples into the rest of the world.
We like the ripple effect of joy. Let's do that. Let's bring more joy. And what's possible when you're joyous, somebody else gets joyous. And I've done similar exercise you made me think of with the laughing. It's like they have like laughter yoga, right? What is that? Laughter yoga is basically starting to laugh for no good reason in groups, and then it is contagious, and you just do it and do it and do it. When you're laughing or you're smiling, it's hard to feel something else, right? So you can bring that up in yourself. You can bring that up in your life. And I'm guessing there's probably YouTube videos about that too. We can Google laughter yoga and just laugh with the YouTube video and bring up your joy. So we'd love to hear any ideas you have. What do you do to what I call up your joy? And
Yeah.
so the let's see. We have a couple of cards that I just pulled out of the deck that I thought I'd review. I know we've already gone into them before, but just as a reminder, and I mentioned it already, happiness is a choice. That is one of our feminine power cards here. And the back of it says, smile. Oh, what a novel idea. Bringing
Yes.
more happiness into your life by just smiling more. It just is transformative. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. And, that's why I think it's so great for people to get outside and, if you want to social distance or however you want to do that, but definitely make sure that your smile is seen. Like take off that mask when you're outside to be able to take a big breath of air to get build your immunity, and just think about what your smile alone can do to someone, even if they're across the street, like wherever they are. If they can see that smile, I find that sometimes people are like keeping their smile hidden and they're not sharing some of that joy. And when you start with that joy with yourself, you're like giving other people permission of like, oh yeah, let's breathe some air. Let's actually be happy together. Let's actually smile and enjoy each other's company. So I think it's super fun. I actually have a friend of mine who has these backyard get-togethers, and based on people's comfort level, they'll sit their chair wherever they want, but they have this conversation where they're together and they get to have, shared joint experiences. And, whatever that is, you want to make sure you're connecting with people because that increases your joy.
Yeah, and there's a lot of talk now about oxytocin and raising your oxytocin, right? And that's the bonding hormone and doing things that bring you joy and connection with people, whether it's even through a virtual platform or in person at a social distance or doing a social distance walk or whatever works for you. Even if it's within your family, how can you do some joyful things? Get together, come up with a brainstorm. The other day I was like, man, what could I do? I was like craving creativity, and I'm still wanting to find more. But then I got an email from a gal I used to take hoop dance class from, hula hoop dance class. And guess what? She was starting another round of ongoing beginner hoop dance. And I'm like, I'm there. I am so there. And it was so much fun. I did it in my backyard. We did it on Zoom, the little class. I learned all kinds of tricks. I'm going to put together a routine. Maybe I'll video it, maybe not. I don't know. Depends how good I get. But it was just a nice thrill in my day. I came up with another idea that I'm gonna start doing with my mom and maybe some other people. I found a walking video. So there's this amazing gal, Leslie Sansone on YouTube. Shout out to Leslie. Great videos. She's got this enthusiasm. You just get joy. You just get, and all you're doing is walking with her. I mean, she does some side steps here and there. She's walking with you, and she's got this upbeat music, and she takes you up a little bit more. And then you know what? Before I knew it, my endorphins kicked in. I mean,
Yes.
I was generating endorphins. I felt that extra level of joy because you know what happens when we exercise, but it's not all exercise. But walking in this way, in this with the music, with her community, was great. And then I'm like, well, why don't I just do this with my mom or friends, or put on Facebook? Hey, I'm going on Zoom. We're going walking. If you want to walk outside, you can walk. If you want to walk inside, you can walk. I'm going to play this video and we'll walk together. you
Right,
know.
right. Oh God, that reminds me, getting outside your comfort zone to do something new and different. Like I did some paddle boarding, right? And I hadn't done that before, and I was really nervous of whether or not I could actually stand up on this board. And I was super happy to be like, yeah, I can do this. I can be on here. And so it was a fun experience. And then I also went to a drum class. And this was a drum class where you had like you had these, you didn't have an actual drum, but you had these sticks, and it was so fun because you were like hitting the floor and then hitting the sticks and then hitting them over, like all these different things, and like this rhythm of people being in unison in the class, and the music and the fun of it was just like, something different, right? And something I normally wouldn't do. It was is outside of my normal routine. And so part of it, because I was with other friends, and we were just laughing because you'd miss a beat, and then you try and catch up, and then you'd have all these other things that would happen. And so you make it fun with the new experiences to just elevate your joy. And I think sometimes when it's not really a mess up, but when you're just not so perfect about it and you're just in it for the literally the joy of it,
Right.
that actually makes some more of the experience, right? And more to talk about it. And it makes it just more fun. So getting outside your comfort zone to just try new and different things is also another way to just express yourself in a way that you haven't done before.
Cool. And I see that Gloria is saying she just started a series called Back to Joy. I love that. Like Back to the Future, Back to Joy. I love it. And she's going to be interviewing other people, asking them what tools they would share for joy. Hey, well, we're happy to be interviewed. So let us know, Gloria. That's great. Um, so what else are you doing? I love the stand-up paddleboard, or try something different outside your comfort zone, or go do something that you haven't done in a long time that, oh, maybe I should do it. Or get this, call somebody and tell them you were thinking about them. Make their day.
Yeah.
Just for the heck of it. Say, "Hey," just like challenge yourself. There's something outside your comfort zone, right? It's like, "I was just thinking about you and just want to let you know you are so amazing. And I have no other agenda in calling you that, but I want to let you know that we hadn't talked and that you're amazing." Like, wouldn't that be so
Yeah,
much fun? You'll make their day
absolutely.
and yours.
Right. And you can even add another line in there in case you forgot, to make it more joyful and fun, right?
Yeah,
Just
and I
saying,
love this idea, Gloria. Gloria says, "Let's stay in your comfort zone and just make it bigger." Okay, call it what you want. That's awesome too. Make your comfort zone bigger, because that's exactly what it is. The minute you step, it's kind of like being in a balloon that you're expanding, 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 and that's why it feels crazy. Maybe that's why it feels so uncomfortable to stretch it, because you think it's going to pop, but it doesn't. It just expands, right?
right. Right. Yeah. Well,
So
it's funny
cool.
also because there's so much uncertainty sometimes we don't necessarily want to try something else that might be uncertain. And I've been doing a lot of exploration around this because I'm actually going to be doing a course about moving through uncertainty with more ease and being more powerful in it. And as I've been exploring this, I've been really looking at uncertainty is just something we don't know yet, right? It's really that simple thing, because life is uncertain. Like, we don't know what's going to happen tomorrow, we don't know what's going to happen next week. And sometimes if we over plan, we can't actually have that joy in the moment, and we can look at uncertainty as, wow, I wonder, be in curiosity, like, how is it that I can show up differently? How's this going to stretch me? How am I going to grow for this? How's it happening for me? I mean, when we start looking at uncertainty from almost from an excited place of like, wow, how are things going to be better because of what's happening? How can I shift? How can I show up for people in a different way? And actually look at that uncertainty to almost give you that momentum to then be joyous about it, and then look at things from a different perspective. So things that may feel challenging, we can actually use them. How can it work for us?
Right. I think it's feels like, what you're saying is like going with the flow of the river. There's gonna be bends and rocks and things in the way, but
Yeah.
let's keep it flowing, and when we can flow, we won't we'll just naturally go around those rocks, or we'll see them. We might bump
Or
into them, but
swim
we're gonna
through.
move. We're gonna move through, we're gonna swim around, we're gonna prepare for them ahead of time. It's gonna be fun and delicious. That's my word for the day.
I like
It's great. It's really, time to be energized and creative and curious. So when,
it. Yeah.
instead of it, like that uncertainty, what I hear in your, voice, and we've talked about this before, is get curious instead of like retreating. Like, I wonder how this time could be beneficial. Make the lemonade out of the lemons, or maybe make a lemon meringue pie, or who knows what you're going to come up with.
I love it, and just doing things different. Like I went to a farm last weekend here, and we got to pick our own because it's peach season, so we got to pick peaches and apricots. And it's funny because I don't always think of like what's in season because where we live, things are available year round. But when you look at going to places where they actually follow the seasons, I don't even think about that. It's like, wow, it's like the freshest at the time. And so it was such a fun and joyous experience to be like, oh, I'm in rhythm with the seasons and what is being presented in the moment. So I thought that was just it was a fun, novel thing.
Totally. I agree with you. And I love what Gloria's highlighting. Yeah, fun and delicious. Use the peach time, use the season to maximize what you can do in the season. Like, what else can we do now? And hiking. And if it's too hot, then can you find a pool or can you do something inside creatively with paints or buy some Play-Doh. I was thinking about as a kid, I wrote this Instagram post and I haven't yet posted it, but I will be. As a kid, what did we do? We were very creative. We were
Mm,
given things to do that were arts and crafts. We were given Play-Doh. We were given popsicle sticks. We were given pipe cleaners and tissue paper. We were given glue and finger paints. That was so much fun. And it still feels like fun to me, right?
right.
Why
Well,
not
it's
do some
funny. I was just gonna say it's also like an evolution too. I just recently read about the person that invented Play-Doh. That before it was Play-Doh, it was actually a wallpaper cleaner, and that they took certain things out of it to make it into Play-Doh. And it was
that's
just
great.
like, isn't that wild? Like, you think about like the progression of things that happen and how things evolve and how we did things one way. Maybe there's a completely different way to do things and stuff. And I mean, I saw some kids on this block who were doing like a lemonade stand. I mean, when was the last time you saw that? It was so
Great.
cute.
It
I
is
love it.
cute. I love it. You make me think of, when I was a kid also of just getting into finding, exploring other things. Why not? Why not just take it um, for play? Just bring play back into your life. Bring the spirit of play back into your life and make everything playful. So the reaction you have if you tried something, like you baked something, it came out bad, it's like get excited about it. It's like I learned how not to do this. This means I can learn how to, tweak it. And I have unlimited options to tweak it. And this personally happened to me this 2 weeks ago. I started baking sourdough bread because
Yum.
my niece, yeah, very young, gave me this inspiration. She's like, "Oh, it's so easy." It's not easy the first time. Could be easy the 16th time you do it, but not the first time. So, but it's fun, and so we had to make the starter, which takes 5 days, and then we went and did this. And you're using like pounds and pounds of flour by the time you're done with this. It's hysterically interesting, but we were really the first time we said, "Oh, we're not gonna use regular flour. We have some rye flour. We have some this, I don't even know what other kind of flour we had." We threw it all in and it didn't rise. Well, because the type of flour it was. It
Mm,
tasted really yummy, but it was like, "Okay, well, let's go back and try it with regular flour, and then let's try it this way." And then we get to be the experimenters. And
right.
if you have that sense of wonder and creativity, well, and creative curiosity, I would say, then
Mm.
there's nothing wrong. Like, okay, so it didn't rise, big deal. We got a different form of sourdough mushy bread or something, sticky, pasty bread, but it's still yummy.
Right. I think
So,
that's where the back to the drawing board came from. Right. It's like, well, now
yeah.
what? Let's try something else.
Yes, and we have another great ideas to plant. Oh gosh, do gardening, right? Get eggshells and fill them with soil and put the seeds of the tomatoes um, you're about to eat. Okay, so you don't have to dry them out. Is that what you're saying? I want to know this because I have tons of eggshells because I'm saving my eggshells. I'm trying to do quasi composting, and
Right.
we have a worm farm, but the worms don't like the eggshells. But we have a garden, and we put the eggshells in the garden anyway. It's a big long mess and
What?
fun. But I'd love to know how to make more tomatoes. That's awesome.
Well, the
And
eggshells
she said,
protect the seeds.
"Yeah, yeah, yeah." But that's what you can use as your little planters for the seedlings, right?
Right. Yeah.
And you put them in your garage and in a just in their tray in the egg. carton, and then when you get the seedlings, then you can plant them, right? No,
Mm-hmm.
just directly. Oh, she said just directly. That's fun. We'll have to try that. I'm going to try that. No drying them out, just plant it directly into the soil with the eggshell, I think. I think that's what you're saying, but you'll let us know. This is great, Gloria. I love these ideas. Do the gardening. You know what's
uh,
actually become a creative pursuit? Just directly. Great. So, what has become another, you're going to laugh at me, but it's all related to planting, is weeding. Weeding has become meditative for me.
you could probably hire out on your block for that.
I could, but most people won't pick weeds. I don't use any chemicals,
Uh-huh.
right? So I'm weeding my yard, and it's actually very therapeutic.
Wow. My dad used to do that when he'd come home from work. Like he'd spend like about 30 minutes. I think it was his transition time. And he would just do his weeding. And we had the best yard in the whole neighborhood
There you
growing up.
go, right? So get out and weed, people. It's gonna be and have joy. And part of me is like, why am I getting into the weeds with all this, right? And then I'm like, but wait a minute, I'm actually getting value out of this. So
Right.
first of all, my yard's gonna look good. Second of all, it's time to be in the earth, right? Being with that earth energy. So
Mm,
another
wow.
source of good connection to the ground and to grounding ourselves, because a lot of times right now we're in some sort of crazy thought pattern, so let's ground ourselves back down and connect to that electromagnetism of the earth here. So oh yes, another great way. You are full of these ideas. I love it, Gloria. Prepare dinner, invite through Zoom. She did today with people in Dubai, India, Mexico, Aruba, and all different dishes. And you share your dishes, obviously your recipes, maybe not obviously the actual food, brunch and dinner time. That is so much fun, Gloria. Thank you. We are having a joyful time with you, and as we always love to bring more joy into the world with our Feminine Fridays, and that's one of the reasons we do them here. So, thank you, Diane. Thank you, Gloria, and thank you those of you who are watching and for the likes and who have also supported the Feminine Power Cards and been with Diane at her Spa Life Day. You have a Spa Life program. It's like amazing. And you have a podcast. So we
You.
welcome your visits to our sites and to connect with us more deeply on Feminine Power Cards here on Facebook or wherever you're watching YouTube. We're happy you up on both places right now. So thank you. Thank you, Diane.
Thank you, Laura. And for anyone watching on the replay, put in the comments, what are you doing to cultivate more joy? Like
It's
there's, sometimes you may feel like you're reaching a little bit further for it these days, but it's there and it's closer than you think and it's much more simpler. And so even just spending a little bit of time to see what is it that brings joy to you, that is a great thing to continue to ask yourself because you may evolve into different ways of that and then discover something new for yourself. So hopefully this has sparked some ideas as we talked about it today. But we would love to hear it about what you guys are up to.
Yeah, and we'll look for them. Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Diane.
Bye. Thanks, Laura. See you guys.